Hello, everyone, and welcome back. We have been learning about motivation, and so far we've talked about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and we've also talked about rewards and the different types of rewards when it comes to motivation. Today, I just wanted to go over with you one more theory, of motivation, and this is the Hertzberg two-factor theory. So as is mentioned by the name of two factors, this theory was originally developed to help managers understand the relationship between job satisfaction and job performance. So there have been lots of studies done around motivation in general, and then this one was specifically done in the workplace. So is there a link they were trying to find between people being happy with their job and how well they do at their job? And this may seem a little bit obvious to you now, but at the time people were not so sure about it. So this study was done by questioning 4,000 workers. And so on the scale of things, this is a smaller study. We're not going to take this as a law, but again, with a lot of the theories that we look at, we can understand them as a piece of advice and an insight into the psyche of humans that we can put into play. Okay. What they found when they were doing this is that job satisfaction can actually be broken down into two different areas. That's why it's called Hertzberg. That's the name of the publishing author, the two factors that we're talking about. So it's not just all in one category. There really is two different things that we need to be looking at. The first type of item that we need to be looking at are what we call hygiene factors. And yes, the word hygiene is used on purpose. Okay. Hygiene factors are things that would make people dissatisfied with their job. Okay. How I like to think about it when I hear hygiene, I often think of either cleanliness or messiness, gross messiness. Okay. People are not going to want to do their job if there are these things, these kind of gross, messy things that we might talk about. Okay, and so the goal in this is that we want to remove the hygiene factors. These would be items that are going to make people dissatisfied with their job. So if we get rid of them, they have a better shot at being satisfied with their job. Okay, but again, this is broken down into those two factors. So removing the hygiene factors is simply going to get people to the middle ground, and then we'll look at the second factor. Okay. Generally, hygiene factors are related to the work setting as opposed to the work itself. So what about where we work or how we work is dissatisfying to us as opposed to the work itself? So this can come from working conditions. Is the conditions particularly hot or cold? Okay. Are there things in those conditions that we consider to be kind of like gross, things that we're having to deal with? Are there things that are agitating to us? Personally, I'm allergic to chalk, so being in a classroom with a chalkboard would increase my job dissatisfaction. Obviously, that would be a hygiene factor for me. Okay. Another example of hygiene factors could involve interpersonal relationships. And again, not so much in the context of doing your job, but in the setting. Are there toxic people in your work environment? Are there people that you have to interact with on a daily basis that makes it harder to do your job or add stress to your job that actually has nothing to do with the job itself? Okay. So this could be people that you directly work with, team members or bosses, or this could just be other people in the environment. Back when this study was done, this definitely had big impacts when we talk about workplace harassments, different things like that. That was a huge indicating factor here. Okay. Another hygiene factor could be organizational policies and administration. So the actual policies or the way you have to go about doing your job. So in some jobs, to be able to get one thing done, there might be like 10 or 12, that might be an exaggeration, 2 or 3 forms that you have to fill out that you know are really tedious and not necessary. They make it harder to do your job, extra approvals, those kind of things. Those could be considered hygiene factors, things that annoy you, that just add stress to your life. The technical quality of your supervision, so how trained or effective your direct supervisor might be, as well as your base wage or salary. Okay, so we consider this to be a part of the work setting, not the actual doing of your job, that base outcome that you get out of it. Okay, so again, a hygiene factor is something that can create job dissatisfaction. Okay, so improving these things will remove job dissatisfaction. It will not create satisfaction, and that's really important to keep clear in your mind. Okay, so if I have a boss that adds a lot of stress to my day, that is giving me dissatisfaction, that is making me less productive. If we get me a better boss, that will remove my dissatisfaction. That will remove the stress that's making it harder to do my job, but it won't necessarily make me really happy to do my job. It just removes the barriers that are in the way of me possibly being happy. Okay, so that being said, the other factor are satisfier factors. Okay, so these are things that can make us exceptionally satisfied with our job and therefore extra productive. Okay, the study did show that when somebody is satisfied with their job, they are productive. Again, important to note, we have to remove the hygiene factors or the things that make us unsatisfied first for these to work. Okay, so if there's lots of hygiene factors, we don't want to just dump all of our money into satisfier factors because that's not going to work. First, we remove those, then we create these. Okay, these are related to the job itself and what people actually have to do in their job. Okay, so if we've removed a boss that adds a lot of stress, if we've removed a bunch of unnecessary paperwork that I need to do my job, we figured out the heating and cooling system and got rid of the allergens, I'm now set up to possibly be satisfied by my job. Those are out of the way. We're now looking for satisfier factors. What are the things that are going to make me more productive in my job? Well, a sense of accomplishment. Is there something about my job that when I get to the end of the day, I see that the work that I've done matters and it gives me an internal sense of accomplishment? That can also come from feelings of recognition. Okay, recognition doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be money. It doesn't have to be bonuses. It doesn't have to be signs. It can be as simple as somebody saying you've done a great job, somebody recognizing what you are doing, somebody saying thank you. It could be employee of the month, those kind of things. Okay. Additionally, a sense of responsibility, being trusted with something. Okay. Whether it's a part-time job and all of a sudden you're being trusted with the key to the store and being allowed to open up, or you've gone from just selling to actually being allowed to use the cash registers. Okay. You have something that you are responsible for, that again shows recognition and trust. Okay. Knowing that there are opportunities for advancements, not necessarily getting the advancement, but knowing there are opportunities for it. Okay. A lot of the studies showed that when there was nowhere to go up, there was less likely for that increased productivity and that satisfaction that's there, as well as feelings of personal growth. So people that have jobs that allow them to work on things that matter to them personally and grow in those areas. Okay, these are the things that this particular study says are going to motivate people to do their job. Okay, so again, we have to remove the hygiene factors and then we need to add the satisfier factors in order for people to be more productive in their job. Okay, so how does that work together? How can we use this as managers? Okay, first, always making sure we correct those poor hygiene factors and eliminate that job dissatisfaction. Okay, I don't know about you, but if you've ever been asked, a good example for a lot of you is in those summer months in late June when it is 40 degrees outside, and if you are in the third story of a school that doesn't have air conditioning or a portable where their air conditioner is broken and you are just dripping with sweat and super hot, you are not going to be able to focus on what you are doing. Okay, we need to remove those. We need to fix those environments. We can't always get rid of them completely. If you work in road construction, you are doing that outside. But coming up with options for breaks, giving us clothing, giving us cooling devices, things that are going to help us in the process, that's going to be really important. The note here, though, is that you don't want to spend too much time or resources on these factors. Okay, our workers don't need crazy high level, super expensive, like penthouse style, great view offices. That's not necessarily we don't need to spend all the money in removing that. We just need to have it good enough that they're not dissatisfied by it. We then want to spend the resources, once they're not dissatisfied, in building in satisfier factors. Okay, how can we maximize this opportunity for job satisfaction? How are we adding special attention, praise, recognition? Okay, this might be where we do give them a private office that we spend a lot of money on, but it's again the recognition and the title of what they've done in having that private office that is adding that satisfier factor. It's not just to remove the hygiene factor. We are empowering them, we are trusting them, we are giving them opportunities to develop and making sure that they're aware that there's opportunities to develop. All right, so one of the examples that I wanted to give you, let me move myself out of the way here, okay, was at Princeton University in the United States. Okay, they found that there was a lot of turnover, which meaning people are quitting, okay, which is a really good sign that people are not satisfied with their job in a lot of their low-level positions, okay, in their security, in their maintenance, in their dining halls, in their cleaning crews, etc., etc. Okay, and when they applied the two-factor theory, okay, they started by just removing hygiene factors. They made sure they had everything that they needed, that they were in good environments, this, that, or the other thing, but that didn't fix the problem. They were still having that turnover. So one of the initiatives that they did is they actually hung portraits of some of these individuals in their hallways of recognition. So in most universities, there's going to be hallways of recognitions. Often the tenured professors are hung up, students who have gone on to win big achievements, right? It's kind of like the be all and end all in a university of where you want to end up. And so they actually did this for these employees as well. And in essence, this is their way of showing recognition and appreciation. These people matter to us just as much as the presidents or the famous alumni that have gone to this university. Okay, look at this person. They've given us 25 years of dedicated service. They did their job well. They were proud of their job. And in essence, this is showing anybody else in these positions that they are valued and that there's this opportunity in the future, okay? It sounds really small and simple. It's not going to be the solution at every workplace, but they actually did see a huge decrease in turnover, which meant people were more willing to stay at their job given the opportunities that they had and the recognition that they were seeing, okay? It can be things big and small. I'd like you to pay attention if you are in a school building or in a work building, okay, at the level of respect that people in different jobs get. One of the things I notice in my school in particular is that if a teacher is needed, they are paged by their name. And if a custodial staff is needed, they are paged as custodial staff, even if there is only one person in the building and we know the name. Okay, these things seem really, really small, but this is a level of respect. Okay, and I have talked to staff in certain buildings where they've been very loyal and they've wanted to stay forever, and these little things really do make a difference for them. So it depends on the workplace, it depends on the job, okay? But if we go back, okay, when we're talking about those two factors, okay, we need to make sure we've removed any hygiene factors, because again, we can have lots of satisfiers in place, but if all of a sudden, I use the air conditioning a lot because it's terrible in my school, but if the air conditioning goes and we're dying of heat, or I don't know, something happens and there's a foul smell in the building, all those other satisfiers are going to go out the building. You can promise me promotions left, right, and center, but if there is something in my workplace that is making me ill, that is making me uncomfortable, that feels gross to me, then that's not going to motivate me. So remove the hygiene and increase the satisfiers. All right. So again, just like those other theories that we have learned about, okay, these are all things that can be taken in consideration and used together when we are looking at a scenario and an environment where we are wanting to motivate a person. We can look at them individually using Maslow's hierarchy of needs. We can look at them individually looking at the types of rewards we're going to offer to them and how they are motivated that way. And then we can look at the environment that they are in using Hertzberg's two-factor theory and making sure we've removed those hygiene factors and we're increasing those satisfier factors in line with their Maslow's desires to make sure that we are motivating them effectively. And that, in a nutshell, is Hertzberg's two-factor theory.